we are covering the three most popular economic theories, which are capitalism, socialism, and communism today. We are going to talk about them in chronological order from when these theories first started to emerge. So first up, we have capitalism. Capitalism is based on the concept of private ownership by individuals or businesses, with the main goal of production operations being to make a profit. So central characteristics of capitalism include wealth accumulation, competition, private property, a price system, voluntary exchange, and wage labor. And now, the production of goods and services is going to be based on the natural changes of supply and demand in the general market, and this is also known as a market economy. In contrast, economies where the production of goods and services is done through central planning, such as the government, those are known as command economies. Now, capitalism in its purest form is known as free market or laissez-faire capitalism, where individuals are completely unrestrained. They have complete freedom to determine where to invest, what to produce or sell, and they get to set their own prices without any checks or controls. So the concept of capitalism actually emerged from earlier forms of feudalism and mercantilism, where feudalism was a system in which wealthy nobles held all the land and peasants worked the field to acquire the resources, and mercantilism gradually replaced the feudal system around the 16th to 18th centuries, and that was built off of the idea of trade to acquire resources. So then let's fast forward to the 18th century when a Scottish philosopher known as Adam Smith is credited as the father of capitalism. He had noticed that mercantilism was creating trade imbalances between nations that kept them from advancing. In his popular book, The Wealth of Nations, he expresses his ideas for a free market, where advancing one's self-interest can lead to economic prosperity. And a famous quote from the book that you may have heard is, quote, "It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest," unquote. I guess to summarize that, he means that since both parties engage in a voluntary transaction with their own self-interests, neither can obtain what he or she wants without addressing what the other party wants. So that's capitalism in a nutshell. Now, in terms of a political economy, capitalism is often put against socialism, which is the next economic theory we're going to talk about. Now, socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization. It advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. The main difference between socialism and capitalism is in regards to ownership and control. However, there are other differences between the two theories regarding equity, efficiency, and employment. So, in capitalist economies, we're often unconcerned with equitable arrangements. In fact, inequality is believed to encourage innovation and push economic development. However, in a socialist model, the primary concern is the redistribution of wealth and resources from the rich to the poor out of fairness and to ensure equality in opportunity and equality of outcome. The collective good is viewed above the opportunity for individuals to advance. Regarding efficiency, capitalists argue that if the state owns the means of productions, this is going to lead to inefficiency due to lack of motivation to earn more money. For employment, in a socialist economy, the state or the government is the primary employer. So really, socialism developed in opposition to the excesses and abuses of liberal individualism and capitalism. Under early capitalist economies in the 18th and 19th century, production and economic growth rose really quickly, but only a small group of individuals rose to riches while a vast majority sank into poverty, creating large income inequality and social concerns. Early socialist thinkers in the first half of the 19th century, such as Henry de Saint-Simon, Robert Owen, and Charles Fourier, presented their own models for reorganizing society along the lines of cooperation and community rather than competition. And actually, one of the most famous early socialist thinkers was German philosopher Karl Marx. With the collaboration of Friedrich Engels, Marx published the Communist Manifesto in 1848, which included a chapter criticizing earlier socialist models as unrealistic utopian dreams. Marx argued that the working class, or proletariat, would inevitably triumph over the capital class, otherwise known as the bourgeoisie, and win control over the means of production. So then this is when we get the term communism. And communism is referred to as revolutionary socialism. and it came to be defined by Marx's theories taken to their extremes. Marx and Engels themselves didn't consistently differentiate between socialism and communism, and there's still a lasting confusion between the two terms today. Communism is defined as a political theory derived from Karl Marx that advocates for class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. So, if Marx was originally a socialist thinker, but now the father of communism, what are the differences? Well, the main difference is that under communism, there is no such thing as private property, and all property is communally owned. Therefore, each person receives a portion based on what they need. There's also a strong central government that controls all aspects of economic production and provides citizens with their basic necessities such as food, housing, medical care, and education. The government would also control what job you must take according to your skills and what is needed by society. So if your dream is to become an artist, but the country is low on steel workers, you're probably going to have to leave the paintbrushes at home. In contrast, under socialism, individuals can still own property. Only the industrial production or chief means of generating wealth are communally owned and managed by a democratically elected government. Individuals are also free to choose what work they pursue and are compensated based on their level of contribution to the economy. Another key difference is the way in which you go about achieving a communist society versus a socialist society. In communism, a violent revolution in which the workers rise up against the middle and upper classes is seen as inevitable in order to achieve a communist state. One of the most famous examples of this is the Russian Revolution led by Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks in the early 1900s, where they brutally murdered the Russian monarchs and formed the Soviet Union. Socialism is a lot less rigid and a much more flexible ideology as it seeks to change and reform through democratic processes within the existing social and political structure, not overthrowing said structure. Unlike in communism, socialist economic systems also reward individual effort and innovation. The most common form of modern socialism we see today focuses on achieving social reform and redistribution of wealth through democratic processes. Social democracy is the most common form of modern socialism, where it focuses on achieving social reforms and redistribution of wealth through democratic processes, and it can coexist alongside a free market capitalist economy. In reality, a purely communist state has never existed, but we classify countries as communists when the central government controls all aspects of the economic and political system. Even China, Cuba, North Korea, Laos, and Vietnam have not achieved the elimination of personal property, money, or class systems that the communist ideology requires. Likewise, no country has achieved a state of pure socialism. Countries that we consider socialist, like Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, follow policies closer aligned to social democracy with successful capitalist sectors. And of course, a pure capitalist economy also cannot exist. We tried that in the Gilded Age and it didn't work. Over time, even the U.S. has adopted once seemingly radical socialist policies such as Medicare and Social Security, and both of these programs are now well integrated into American life. Economics is complicated, and making decisions is not a black and white choice. Every nation is trying to figure out what mixture of theories works best for them. But it's important for us to be well educated on the aspects of each because they affect us all whether we realize it or not.